In the late 1990s, Le Mans had an arms race. Porsche, Mercedes and Toyota were building cars that looked like road cars, but were prototypes underneath. The rules said you needed a street-legal version to go racing. Every manufacturer treated that as a joke. Build the race car, slap on some headlights, call it road legal, and move on. Nissan did the opposite. They built the road car first, and then they built only one. These are 10 facts about the Le Mans car that almost nobody has ever seen in person. Number 10. Nissan was forced into building it because the Skyline was no longer fast enough. By the mid-1990s, Nissan had been running Skyline GTRs in the GT1 class at Le Mans with some success, but not enough speed. The problem was that Porsche changed the game in 1996 with the 911 GT1, a car that exploited a loophole allowing manufacturers to enter machines that barely resembled anything you could buy from a dealer. Mercedes followed with the CLK GTR. Suddenly, Nissan's modified Skyline was showing up to a knife fight with a butter knife. Nismo, Nissan's motorsport division, knew they needed a purpose-built mid-engined machine to have any chance of competing. The Skyline's era at Le Mans was over. Number 9. The man who designed it went on to become one of the most important car designers alive. Nissan partnered with Tom Walkinshaw Racing in England to develop the R390. TWR was one of the most successful racing operations of the era. They had won Le Mans with Jaguar in 1988 and 1990, and a TWR-built Porsche won again in 1996 and 1997. The styling was handed to Ian Callum, who had already designed the Aston Martin DB7, one of the most beautiful cars of the decade. Callum incorporated Nissan 300ZX headlights and a twin front grille to give the R390 a family resemblance to Nissan's road car lineup. A few years later, Callum would become the design director of Jaguar and reshape that entire brand for the next 2 decades. Number 8. The car's skeleton came from a Le Mans winning Jaguar. The engineering side was led by Tony Southgate, also at TWR, who had designed the Jaguar XJR9 that won Le Mans in 1988. The R390's carbon fibre monocoque was based on the Jaguar XJR15, which itself was derived from that championship-winning XJR9. The cockpit, the tub and the upper body structure were all carried over from the Jaguar. The chassis was made lower, wider and shorter. The suspension was an entirely new double wishbone design, yet the bones of the car were British racing royalty wearing a Japanese badge. Number 7. They ditched the legendary RB26 engine for a V8 with roots in Group C. The Skyline GTR's famous inline 6, the RB26, had been Nissan's racing workhorse for years, but it had a cast iron block that made it heavy with a high centre of gravity that hurt handling in a mid-engined layout. So Nismo went back to the VRH engine family that Nissan had used in Group C prototype racing since the late 1980s. The VRH 35L was a 3.5-litre twin turbocharged aluminium V8, producing around 640 horsepower in race trim. It was lighter, more compact and sat lower in the chassis than the RB26 ever could. The road car version was detuned to around 550 horsepower, still enough for a claimed top speed of 220 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 time of 3.9 seconds. Number 6. They built the road car first, and they only made one. This is the fact that defines the entire R390 program. The GT1 rules required manufacturers to produce at least one road-legal version of their race car. Porsche and Mercedes built the race car first and then grudgingly produced a handful of road versions afterward. Mercedes was particularly shameless about it, unveiling their street-legal CLK GTR in late December, months after the racing season had already ended. Nissan actually followed the spirit of the regulations and built the road car before the race car. It was painted red, given a UK registration number and displayed at Le Mans. That single road car still sits in Nissan's Zama Heritage Collection in Japan today. It has never been sold, and it was never intended to be. Number 5. All 3 cars failed scrutineering at their first Le Mans, and it ruined their race. Despite being the fastest car in pre-qualifying in May of 1997, with Martin Brundle posting a time quicker than the defending Le Mans winning Porsche, the R390 hit a wall before the race even started. French officials ruled that the racing version did not have the required luggage space that the road car had. It sounds absurd for a race car, but the GT1 regulations demanded it. TWR was forced to hastily reroute the exhaust system to free up space in the rear. The modification was done without any proper endurance testing, and during the race it caused the gearbox to overheat catastrophically. 2 of the 3 R390s retired with mechanical failure. The sole surviving car limped home in 12th place after needing 2 complete gearbox replacements during the race. Number 4. The 1998 comeback was one of Le Mans' great redemption stories. Quick thing before we get to the top 4 on this list. The data on this channel shows that over 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. That means you are showing up for the content, but the algorithm has no reason to show you the next video. If you have made it this far, you clearly care about the stories behind the greatest cars ever built. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Nissan came back the following year with 4 upgraded R390s, featuring a longer rear tail for more downforce and a proper rear diffuser. They were not the fastest cars in the field. Mercedes, Toyota and Porsche were all quicker in qualifying. But Le Mans is a 24-hour race, and speed without reliability means nothing. As the hours wore on, the Mercedes and BMW entries dropped out one by one. All 4 Nissan R390s made it to the finish. The number 32 car, driven by Kazuyoshi Hoshino, Aguri Suzuki and Masahiko Kageyama, crossed the line in 3rd place overall, behind only 2 Porsche 911 GT1s. It was the first time an entirely Japanese driver lineup had stood on the Le Mans podium. Number 3. The GT1 class was killed shortly after, and the R390 died with it. The GT1 era had become unsustainable. Manufacturers were spending enormous sums building what were effectively prototype race cars disguised as road cars, and private teams had been priced out entirely. After 1998, the rules were rewritten. The old GT1 class was replaced with a new prototype category that no longer required any road car connection at all. The R390 was instantly obsolete. Nissan briefly pivoted to the open cockpit R391 prototype for 1999, but that program was short-lived. By the end of the decade, Nissan had pulled out of Le Mans entirely. A total of 8 R390 race chassis were built across the 2-year program, and then the whole thing was over. Number 2. The engine that powered the R390 went on to power every modern McLaren. After the R390 program ended, the VRH35L engine sat on a shelf collecting dust. Then, in the late 2000s, McLaren was developing its first road car in over a decade, the MP412C, and needed an engine. They did not have the resources to design one from scratch, so McLaren bought the rights to the VRH35L design from TWR, handed it to engineering firm Ricardo, increased the displacement to 3.8 litres, and renamed it the M838T. That engine, heavily reworked but unmistakably descended from Nissan's Le Mans 5.8, went on to power the MP412C, the 650S, the 570S, the legendary P1 hypercar, and eventually evolved into the 4-litre M840T, used in the 720S and Senna. Every modern McLaren road car traces its engine DNA back to a forgotten Nissan race car from the 1990s. Number 1. More people have driven the R390 in a video game than will ever see one in real life. The Nissan R390 GT1 appeared in Gran Turismo 2 and became one of the most iconic cars in the entire franchise. For millions of players, it was the car you saved up for, the car you dreamed about owning in the game. It appeared in nearly every mainline Gran Turismo title through Gran Turismo 6. The irony is staggering. In the real world, Nissan built exactly 1 road car and 8 race cars. Most of those are locked away in museums or private collections. The chances of seeing an R390 in person are essentially zero. But in the virtual world, it became one of the most beloved Japanese cars of all time. Gran Turismo did not just preserve the R390's legacy, it created one. Nissan built the R390 to win Le Mans and never quite got there, but the car left fingerprints everywhere. Its engine powers some of the fastest road cars on the planet. Its designer reshaped an entire brand, and a video game turned it into a legend that the real world never had the chance to. If you want to see the full story behind another forgotten Japanese race car that changed motorsport, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.